Good night, everyone. How are you guys doing today? And I thank you for tuning in to episode number 3 with the digital age. And tonight is all about podcasting. How are you guys doing, man? I feel like it's been so long since we've seen each other. It's been a week. A week is too long. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And if you don't know who I am, and this is, again, your first time seeing me, my name is Karen Rose, and I am the host of The Digital Age. And this is the show where we talk about all of these different platforms or tools for business owners in the Caribbean to succeed and thrive in the online space. Tonight's guest is going to blow the roof off, okay? He is the host of the Caribbean Power Lunch. His name is Kevin Valley, and I'm going to be bringing him in very shortly, all right? But I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, lots of energy, likes, hearts. Drop your comments in here. I see so many of you coming in. Just want to give some quick shout outs to Jason Marcano. You're inside. I love it. Large up yourself. Kevin McCarthy, how you doing tonight, bro? Glad to see you. Glad you could tune in. Samsonite Die. Yes, I love it. Thank you for joining us. And who else do we got in here? Josanne Jack, good night. I see you. Glad you can join. Narissa Golden, how is everything? I'm so happy for you to join us tonight. Tonight's going to be action-packed. And again, podcasting. How many of you have thought about starting a podcast? I'm sure many of you have decided, you know what? Video might not be my thing. I don't want to have to look good every single time. Trust me, there's a reason why Digital Age is once a week. I can't do this every single day. So shout outs to everybody who has a daily show and they're doing video every single day. Kudos to y'all. I don't know how y'all do it. Once a week is good for me. So if you've been thinking about doing a podcast, you know, it takes away some of that pressure from having to pretty up yourself and showing up on video every day. You know, if you've been thinking about blogging is another good platform as well. But tonight, we're diving into podcasting. All right? So, without further ado, I want you guys to give a big Digital Age welcome to my brother, one of the most extremely high energy guys you will ever meet, and the mission that he is on with Caribbean Power Lunch is not to be understated, and he's one of my favorite content creators in the entire Caribbean. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Digital Age, Mr. Kevin Valley. Hey!
Yes, man. Karen, I am listening to you, and I'm saying, hey, we're going on. Karen, I need to hire you to do my intro for Carolina, you know, because that intro was perfection. Love it.
Bro, honestly, I want to say the shoe is finally on the other foot. Yo, I've been on the Caribbean Power Lunch 2 times, right? And, you know, every single time me and Kevin connect, you know, whether it's for the podcast or just as 2 content creators and 2 people that have their own businesses, it's always a great conversation. And one of the things that has always impressed me about Kevin is his work ethic, the way this guy preps. You know, he just seeing his behind the scenes and how he works has made me feel like, yo, I don't do enough prep. You know, but bro, how you feeling, man? How's everything going with you on your side?
You know the thing is, Karen, I would be honest with you. Like every time somebody wants to interview me on their show, I get a little anxious. It's like I don't have control anymore. You know, I just have to go with the flow, have to answer what's asked of me, and just hope I represent myself properly. But you know, man, I'm at the same time, I'm excited. All right, let's get it.
Let's get started. So, Couple of housekeeping rules. Kevin, you have seen the show. You know I like to prep our guests to ensure that they know exactly what is going on throughout the entire episode. All right? So, first things first. We are live in Trinidad and Tobago. So if you're in Trinidad, love it. If you are in another Caribbean island, let me know in the comments what island you're watching from. Big ups to everybody all across the region. So tonight's show, let's break down what we are going to be talking about. All right. So we are going to be, diving into Kevin and the Caribbean Power Lunch in our introduction session. We're going to get some information as to, why he started it, how he started it. And, we're going to talk about it because it's going to give you guys a kind of a framework as to you guys getting started with your own podcast, right? Next up, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the podcast world. And I can't wait. Podcast world. We're going to be taking a deep dive into that. And lastly, we're going to be going into a Q&A session. All right. So before we start with the introduction, we got to drop the intro. Hit it. So, Kevin, we are back. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? We've made the people wait long enough. So, can we get the timer up on screen, please? All right, so we got that set. So we got 15 minutes to dive into Kevin Valley. Timer has started. So, Kevin, my brother, first things first, let me know and let the digital age audience know, who you are, who is Kevin Valley and what is Caribbean Power Lunch about?
Okay. All right. So I'm a business valuator by profession now. I'm doing that full time as of March 1st, 2020. I am a former investment banker. I've done some private equity, some investment analysis, some business financing and everything, a lot of investment research and everything. But I've always been a curious person. I've always had a passion for business because I think business is the real tool for creating generational wealth, for fixing the income inequality gap, and for creating jobs and for this uplifting all our communities, especially the Black community.
And it is now more timely than ever with the work that you are doing, especially in this community with everything going on. So we definitely salute your efforts here over at the Digital Age. All right. So Caribbean Power Lunch. How did this all start? I could just imagine. You were sitting back with a nice glass of your favorite scotch, and it just hits you. Tell us how you started up the Caribbean Power Lunch.
Okay, so I only got into podcasts as a listener in 2017, mid 2017, and this was through my cousin. My cousin, funny enough, my older cousin, he started a podcast with his friends called the Caribbean Rum Club. So they would, right? Of course, yeah. Right, so they would be talking about different rums from up the islands, nice mid-range rums, because there's those mid-range rums that cost maybe about 45 to 50 US that taste good and you love it, and then there's rums that I don't know 100, 200, 300 and more like collector's rum, there's no you can't even drink it oh gosh, I'm scared to drink this. So they'd be talking about a lot of the mid-range rums from Trinidad, from the other islands and everything. And it would also be they're just having a good time talking about current events in the Caribbean, but they will also be somewhat well-researched and they'll be prepped and everything. So it'll be a good show. And funny enough, I wasn't listening to it on a podcast player. My cousin would send me it on SoundCloud. You know, right? And well,
Wow.
we'll talk about it later. But you don't wanna build your podcast audience through SoundCloud, right?
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
so I'll
tip
be
number
listening.
one, clearly. Write that down,
One,
folks.
right? Right. So I'll be listening to that. Like, hey, this is real good. This is real cool.
Yeah.
And one day Jason messaged me and he said, "Hey, I want you to come and co-host one of my podcasts." And I listen. I was like, "Woo, wee!" No, 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 no. I listen. I are afraid public speaking.
Yeah.
you know. So
Would have
you
never
know,
thought.
right? I listen. I'm an introvert at heart, right? Many people don't think so, but I'm an introvert at heart. So
Wow.
he said that to me, I was like, whoo, I don't know. But I did end up going to sit into some of their recordings and everything. I'll watch how they operate. Of course they'll give me the rum of the week to drink. So I know it was a good vibe and everybody was laughing and enjoying themselves. And
Right.
I would look forward to the episodes being released every Thursday. And it's just a good vibe. So that's how I got into podcasting. So I found this podcast through a webinar. This
Okay.
podcast name was Side Hustle School, right? So
Mm.
every day actually they will give you like a 10-minute story of how somebody started a side project that generated some income for them. And the
Right.
goal is not necessarily to replace your job, just to give you that extra project for yourself, something of your own.
Right.
Because people you can be very happy in your job, right? But
Right.
you have that side income going for you. So I'll be listening to that every day. That podcast started on January 1st, 2017. They do an episode a day. I'll just be driving to work listening to that. And sometimes if I hear something that like provokes thoughts in my mind, it's like, hey, I could adapt this somewhere. Because when you immerse yourself in enough of this kind of content,
Right.
your ideas just start to
But they start to flow. They
interconnect
start to
and
come out. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Right. So that kept happening. Meanwhile, so let's say I think it was, and I've told this story so many times before, right? It
Yeah.
was July. It was July 2017 where the late Anthony Bourdain, a traveling chef who would do a show where every country he goes to, and he usually documents the story and the history and the cultural dynamics of those countries while eating their food, right? So
Ooh.
he'll always make you hungry. But anyway, so
For
he
sure.
came. Yeah, so he came to Trinidad, and you'd have seen him in Belmont with Muhammad from Freetown Collective.
Man eating doubles.
Yeah, you'd have seen him around the savannah eating fried snapper with LaShawn Prescott. I think she's a dancer, right?
Right.
There. Yes, you meet in snapper with her. You see him in Tobago with Calypso Rose, but then you
Right.
see him in this nice fancy long table kind of. I think it was on a yacht. Don't quote me on that. With
Right.
the Syrian community, right? And they feeding him the fried kibbe, and listen, I love fried kibbe, but and they feeding him the fried kibbe and the different sauces to dip it in and everything, and you know,
Yeah.
and they're drinking the vodka, the Grey Goose vodka that they love, and they got comfortable, right? And so they were talking about the socioeconomic dynamics of their entrance into Trinidad. So 3 generations ago, the patriarch of that family, the late Dr. Anthony Saba, he came to Trinidad. I think it was like one bolt of cloth to sell door to door, and then bit by bit, he bought a printer that became Guardian Media. Bit by bit, they built a enterprise that was like the biggest family-owned group of companies
Right.
in potentially the region,
Right.
most likely the region, right? So they were at the table and they were telling Mr. Bourdain, hey, we are like less than 1% of this population, and we control a majority of the wealth here, right? No lies
I
told.
remember that.
No lies told, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody remembers that, and so a lot of people got upset and everything, but it got me thinking again because I love business, right?
Right.
I worked in South for a while, so I would see how like the Eastern community, how they'd be very family oriented, especially when they come to my office for business. You see a 10-year-old daughter in the room during the meeting discussing the loan for their business to expand their business or what have you, and the daughter's not in the corner on the table coloring a book or anything like that. She's listening in, listening to what I
Right.
say, listening to this, is listening in, and I make a joke and say, hey, so you're gonna take over? Heck yes, yes, and the thing is, right, that sort of exposure from that age, like there's no doubt in my mind that when she gets older, she's going to be in the
She's going to
business,
be doing something, correct. She's going to be in the business doing something, yeah.
Right. And I haven't seen much of that in the black community. I've seen it in other communities, like I don't want to say like all my Caucasian friends. You see them running their businesses. Their family pass on businesses to them or whatever it is. The Syrians, of course, the Chinese. You got the Chinese Association and everything. So the black community, you weren't really seeing that. The most you would see publicly in the black community is like what you were seeing like last week. Black police officers and black residents shooting at each other, and that it bothers me.
It's heartbreaking, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not somebody who's just always pro black this, pro black that, but it bothered me just from a balance, just from a socioeconomic balance perspective, it bothered me. So I said, okay, well, what can I do? Because of what I was doing, because I was meeting with business owners all the time, I know about black entrepreneurs in the country, in the region.
Right.
But it's like you hardly think about black people entrepreneurship in the same sentence. So I wanted to highlight their stories. So I wanted to highlight. But funny enough, Karen, the first thing I wanted to do was build a directory of black-owned businesses. So that and eventually build a community of black businesses where they support each other and they collaborate and they the customers could find them, and full circle now, like everybody's DMing me saying, hey Kevin, I have a black business thing, I see you building one too, and let's join forces. Or hey, I have an app, I've seen about
they're rolling out 8
directories, maybe 4 apps thus far.
But even with your podcast is building that platform to showcase a lot of black businesses. So it's almost like a directory kind of in itself.
Exactly. So all right. So I'm glad you said that. So initially I was just going to say, all right, let's build it as a directory. Let's do little write-ups on each company. And then I was like, nah, that's boring. That's boring.
Yeah.
People need to hear your story. It needs to be immersive. People need to hear the passion in it. People need to hear the intelligence in your strategic thinking. People need to hear your journey. People need to hear what moves you made, and that sort of message is when we were talking last night, is beyond motivational. I'm sometimes inspirational, but I aim for transformative. Yeah, I aim for people to listen and be like, okay, I'm not accustomed to doing something like this, but I realize based on this story that I just listened to, if I do this, I could get this level of results. And Karen, I won't lie to you, just like podcasts and podcasting has changed my life. But we'll get onto that later.
Oh, we're definitely going to get into that, Now, one thing I want to get out there, is how did you start training yourself to host? Like, because I know you're an introvert, right? So I know for me, I'm introverted as well. I try to minimize how much video I have to do. That's why I prefer to blog. So when I started my business, I was not going to just jump into video. That was what I was not going to do. However, I needed to show up consistently with my message for my business. So I started to blog. Blogging just gave me a safe space to create in my own way, right? So for podcasting, how did you learn to host and podcast?
Okay, so the first thing I did was I told my cousin, hey, I want to start this podcast. Is on this, and funny enough, when I initially was telling people, hey, I want to start a podcast featuring black entrepreneurs, people like, what? Because it was taboo to talk about, right? yeah, it's like we are happy to go by our friend's house for Diwali. We happy to patronize the Syrian ecosystem and everything, but to talk about like supporting black businesses. I mean, now it's great. They put a knee on our neck, and now like we have to talk about it. But back then it wasn't as comfortable to talk about it overtly. Like there was this kind of thing in the back of your mind, like, am I sounding racist right now?
Are you allowed to do this? Are you supposed to be doing this?
Exactly, right. And I struggle with that a little bit, right? But let's just put that in the back burner for now. So yeah, so what I did, I went down by my cousin's house in Cuba. This is like where my dad and everybody grew up. So he was living in that family house,
Right.
and I went with a notepad, and I said, okay, well this guy is gonna give me some value. He's gonna teach me something. Let me
Right.
buy this man some lunch.
Right.
And at the time, I didn't have a name for it, right? I think I started off saying, like, let's call it Black Excellent Trinidad and Tobago. I was like, okay, no, let's just leave this thing alone, right? So I bought the pizza, and while I'm waiting for the pizza, I was like, power lunch, boy. Like, because I just saying, hey, like, it's a lunch, because we're gonna have a business conversation. It's like power lunch, Caribbean power lunch. And the first thing I do every time, because I have a few domains, well, right? The first thing I do when I want to come with a name or a brand is I go on GoDaddy and I search
Search
it
it
and
up.
make sure the .com is available.
Yeah.
CaribbeanPowerLunch.com is available. I also grabbed PowerLunchPodcast.com one time just
Yeah.
in case. All right, and it's all right. It's Caribbean Paula. So I had that name like between getting the pizza and driving down to Cuba.
Right.
Drove down to Cuba, and my cousin was walking me through. All right, this is the kind of equipment he uses. This is how you edit. This is how you publish. This is how you publish the feed. And he loaned me his microphone, and his microphone was a condenser microphone. And we'll talk about microphones just now. It was a condenser microphone. So basically, it's one of those microphones that pick up the sound all around.
Everywhere.
So like
Right.
I have a fan blowing directly on me right now. It's on.
Can't hear nothing.
I have a co-host next door. It's
He barking.
it's no listen, Mike. Listen, that it's a well-fed pit bull. So even when I go outside and say, I don't like what you said in the episode, he'll be like, what you gonna do? All right.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I got my cousin's equipment. I took the notes, and I said, all right, cool, ready to start. So then I started researching. All right, I wanna do this good. Because I have a little bit of perfectionist in me, a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
So I went online and I watched speech after speech. I watched Lisa Nichols. I think I watched a little bit of Tony Robbins. It's like how to give an effective speech. And then I go, all right, how to manage your voice. Because that is because if you're doing control,
You do have that radio voice. You have that radio voice down pat.
and that was practice. Okay. That's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did all of that, hours and hours and hours of research.
Yeah.
And I practiced it. Luckily, I live alone. I'm sure my neighbors, something is wrong with me, because I'll be in my room, I'll be in my bathroom, I'll be
Just
looking in the mirror.
practicing.
Podcast. Notice. I will just be iterating until I get it right.
Right. So, Kevin. So what I want to, digital age audience. I have a little bit of a secret that I kind of kept from Kevin. All right.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. You gonna release secrets now?
Yeah, live.
That's
So-
okay.
So while me and Kevin connected a couple of days, I went over to his house. We drank some good drinks, some of his finest. I was, because Kevin helps me prep when I do my episodes, right? Anytime I do a prep work with the guests, I always go to Kevin afterwards and we do some prep work just so I'm good, right? Just so I can, hit my stuff and get all my jitters out. So Kevin told me, hey, check out some of my scripts on my computer. And while I was doing that, he's like, yo, he had to go take a phone call. He'll be right back, right? So I just seen a folder on the desktop, and I know I should not be snooping. But when the folder says practice footage, podcast practice footage, I said, look left, look right. I ain't see Kevin inside. He probably in the back talking to somebody, I said, let me have a little look-see. And I seen some of that practice footage. So you know how he was just talking about how for hours and hours he was, watching speeches, watching videos, and he would jump in the mirror and practice those things. Well, let's have a little look and see what some of that footage looks like. I uploaded some of that to the cloud and kept it. He doesn't know. So Kevin, bear with us. I apologize, but the world needs to see that you weren't perfect. Clip number 1.
Okay, we're recording. Good evening, podcast world. My name is Kevin Valley, and I will be your host today. Here on the show, we talk about, we feature Black-owned businesses from the Caribbean. Let's do this over.
Oh, that was like one of the early attempts, right, Kevin?
I have to guess. I can't see. Karen, I don't like that. I can't see what's happening.
Watch it on your phone. I just rolled up one of your first clips, right? So there was like that's not the Kevin we know. There was like almost no energy in that, right? So I kept going through the file and I see this next clip and I almost died on the chair. Roll clip.
Podcast world. This is Caribbean Power. No.
Oh man.
Yo, when I seen that clip, I was like, no way. Yo, he really has been practicing. He's been practicing. Because
you're wrong.
I know, I apologize. But they need to see that, everybody starts from somewhere. And then we got, like, look at that. I'm even getting clips to play it again. We'll play that one more time. Watch it.
Podcast world. This is Caribbean Power. No.
But I won't do you dirty. I want to show people what you worked yourself up. This was one of the last clips I found in the folder, and I think it was just right.
Podcast world, Cabin Studios. We are back. This is Caribbean Power Lunch, where we feature Black-owned businesses. I am your host, Kevin Valley, and today is a very special episode. Today, I am being featured on the digital age with tech expert, digital entrepreneurship expert, Mr. Karen Rose. Take it away, Karen. Let's get it.
I should have heard that one through.
Yo, oh man. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, everybody has to practice their intros. Kevin Valley, as much as he has that radio voice, that radio finish, he's still practicing those intros through and through. Kevin, sorry, I apologize, but the world had to see that, right? So
That's fine.
So we're going to wrap up the introduction segment, right? Coming up next, we are going to be diving into breaking down the world of podcasting, from the equipment, the software, the hosting, tips on your voice training, all that good stuff, right? That is coming up next. Stay tuned after the break from our sponsors. And as usual, shout out to our sponsors, Eastern Credit Union, Buzz Media, Flow. I love you guys for joining me on the journey. We're going to be right back after a break from our sponsors.
Stay connected and entertained with broadband bundles designed for you. With Flow starter and advanced plans, you can enjoy faster speeds to stream more of what you love. Get free access to the best shows, series, and movies with HBO Go. And connectivity on the go with free Flow Wi-Fi. Packages start from as low as $295 and no contract required. Visit discoverflow.co to sign up today. Flow, keeping you connected.
Sharing your goals, helping you find your place in the world. Eastern Gratitude, God's holding your hand, leading the way, here for your needs, making sure that you succeed. Eastern's lending a hand, Eastern together, we're leading the way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I hope you guys have your drinks ready. I hope you have your notepads out because now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of podcasting. Kevin, we're queuing up the timer. We're going to stick to the 30-minute mark and let's dive right into it, all right? Timer starts now.
13 minutes, that's a long boy. That's a long time.
Yeah, but don't worry, it will fly by, and we got it covered, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Kevin, let's dive into the equipment. All right, or should I ask you, or should I say, what is the first thing about podcasting we need to know? Is it the equipment first? Do we start with the equipment? Is there another area that we should be starting with when we are thinking about getting into podcasts? Let us know, man.
Okay, so the first thing, the most important thing, I mean, the equipment and the audio quality is really important too, right? But the most important thing is, what is your objective? I'm going to say that again. What is your objective? What are you trying to achieve? What is the message you're trying to get out to people? Because the thing about podcasting is different from YouTube and blogging in a sense that, YouTube, you're sitting down, you're watching this video, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. For podcasts, you're driving, you're in the gym, you're washing dishes, maybe even when you're eating food. I listen to podcasts while I eat, but the thing about podcast, you're in somebody's ear. That's why I did all this vocal training, because your voice is in somebody's ear, and your voice, you have to soothe them, and you have to educate them, to inspire them, but most of all, Karen, you have to entertain them, right? It's really difficult to entertain somebody and be in their ear, and you have your co-host in the back shouting at them, or you're just hearing this fan blowing on you all the time, or whatever it is, right? So back to
before we even get the equipment, we need to ask ourselves, what is our intention with this podcast?
What is our intention, and who is this podcast for?
So for you,
I have my notepad here. Yeah, go on.
So for you, it was to showcase Black businesses in the Caribbean. For me, it's always been teaching Caribbean entrepreneurs how to build in the online space, and then also teaching them how to use the smartphone technology. Right. So those were our intentions when we started to create our content. Right. All right. Cool. No problem. Let us get in, because this is the most asked question of today when we poll the audience. Equipment. All right. Let's run through what equipment we need, and let us start with the microphone.
Okay. I don't understand why. I don't know why. It's like the biggest malarkey I've seen. But the advice to new podcasters is everywhere is to get this. Was this the Blue Yeti?
The Yeti! The Yeti! This I had a Yeti.
This robot-looking microphone. No.
It's cool, Kevin. It's cool. It looks cool. The brand name is cool. I have a Yeti.
Okay.
So know the Yeti.
Know the Yeti, and here's the reason why.
Break it down for us. Yeah, break it down for us.
And it's the same reason why the microphone I started with was a poor choice. So everybody's watching. You see behind me, this is wood. Right? That is not soundproof. Right? If you're recording in a nice sound treated studio and everything, then yes, by all means, use the Yeti or use the microphone I was using, which is the Nady SCM 1000, right? And so that sort of microphone is called a condenser microphone. Right. What is a condenser microphone?
Tell us. It's important.
So condenser microphone is best, other than if you're recording in a nice recording studio. If you're looking to drop an R&B track and you want the voice to sound like T-Pain, then it's because it has that, it gives your voice that computerized sound, and it's very sensitive, and it's usually quite expensive for the good ones.
Right.
Okay. So what most of us who are going to be starting out, just like me, in your apartment, on your couch, with your wall, with your co-host in the back.
Yeah.
Okay. So what
cars driving by, blasting music, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes I'm recording a podcast, I go in my fridge to to get some ice for my beverage or to get some ice for my guest. You know, I'm editing the podcast and I'm hearing my ice.
Wow. Wow.
Right. So
Yeah.
what you want is a dynamic microphone. Was a dynamic microphone. So
Yes.
a dynamic microphone it's like, well, this one and the one Karen is using, it's a unidirectional microphone or a cardioid microphone. That means it just picks up the sound from the sound directly
Directly
in
in front of you.
Yes. So
Give us an example. Give us a test.
Sure. So the closer I get to the microphone, the clearer, and a little bit sexier that I sound. But when I get far back like this, then I have to shout to compensate. But you don't
Right.
hear me as clear as when I get this close.
Right.
And the thing about this is that you could take this anywhere. You could. I've literally recorded this you recorded a podcast in a parking lot using this microphone, and you wouldn't know.
So it filters out all the background noise. It picks up what is directly in front of you, right? And one of the issues with the Yeti is that it's omnidirectional,
Yes, it's omnidirectional. Yes.
right? Oh, okay. Apparently, I think I know what I'm talking about here. I think I know.
Oh man, don't play. Look at your setup, man. Don't do us.
Well, you told me what to get. I just bought it. So Yeti microphones are omnidirectional, right? So even though you can, they have multiple patterns. So you could do like the figure 8 where it could pick up like everything in the radius, so multiple people can talk and it picks up everything. You can turn it into a unidirectional mic as well. They're just not one of the good ones to do it. But one of the issues with Yeti is that, again, it just picks up everything around you, right? And if you're in a room that isn't sound treated, so you don't have like acoustic foam or the soundproof walls or whatever, you drop a pin, you're going to hear it. So getting these condenser microphones that pick up only your voice right in front of you, especially if you are, we're in Trinidad, we're in the Caribbean, people are jamming music 24/7. A lot of us live close to roads, people park up in front, blast their music, everybody has their big dog in the background barking away. So we hear all these things, right? So microphones, we talked omnidirectional, we talked cardioid. Is there another microphone that people should look out for? What about those ones that, aren't in the frame? They hang above you and they point to you. The shotguns, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we didn't talk about shotguns and we didn't talk about the lapel mics, the lavalier mics. So the shotguns, quite nice. You could get them out of your camera frame and have them pointed to your voice. But again, you would require you need at least a quiet space or a treated room, because that is also a condenser microphone. It's better than the Blue Yeti and those other microphones that you just set on a table and talk around and just shout into it. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I would still recommend you get something like what we are using now. So what we're using now is the Audio-Technica ATR 2100. Right? This fella has been all over the world with me. This fella could take licks. This guy has been on flights handled by what you call this guy? Those cargo handlers,
Yeah.
or what have you. It's fell. Listen, and it's built to last. And also, what I love about it is that it gives. I was telling you last night. It's like I look at it as like dark chocolate. It gives that. It gives your voice that full-bodied, rich.
That berry voice.
Yeah.
that berry white.
Like even if you have a light voice, so let's say you have a female co-host that has a light voice, it gives that nice, full and rich quality sound. Tim
Right.
Ferriss uses the same mic, and
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss,
Pat
makes
Flynn.
millions.
Pat
But,
Flynn uses it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
mic, this is the ATR 2100 cost me about $70 US. I know you have the 2100X, so
The X,
that's
yeah.
a little more expensive, yeah, because I think they're
$30.
out of
It's
the
like
21.
it's like 100 US.
Right, yeah.
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 And the good thing with these mics is that you can connect either with USB connection or if you have an audio interface or mixer and you want to go XLR, they have the XLR inputs as well, so that you can use either one you wanna do. They also have the input for headphones, so if you want to monitor yourself speaking in, you have that all built into the mic as well. So this is a key. If you are going to spend somewhere, spend on getting a decent microphone, because it's going to last you in the long run, right? And again, as Kevin mentioned earlier, when you are in somebody's ear and you have to soothe them, you have to romance them and hold their attention, you can't be sounding like you're speaking through with a washing machine around you.
Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear? We ain't doing that Sprint and Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? So we got mics, right? So let us talk about the importance of what do you call these foam bad boys that I have on this mic?
The windscreen. Yes,
the windscreen. Walk us through the science behind that. Let me pull out another one too. Let me pull this out. What do we got?
All right.
What do we got?
So the basic thing that I have here is
the basic.
Sorry about that. Yeah, is the foam windshield, right? So this is basically, let's say I have a fan blowing on me right now. You're not feeling it, so it protects the mic against that, and it also, what it does is that it acts as a little bit as a pop filter, right? So the pop, the P sounds and the B sounds to a lesser extent, and also the T sounds, right? It masks that a little bit, right? Not as much as
what is the importance of that?
What's the importance of it? Well,
yeah. So when you're talking about the masking of the P, right? What is the importance that the P's and the T's? What is the importance of it getting masked?
Yeah, well, you don't want the audience to feel like it sounds like you're spitting on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the windscreen. No, what do you call this? What I'm holding.
Right. So, yeah, that is the pop filter. So that is even better than the windscreen. People. So people use that pop filter, especially like when they're doing voiceovers for radio ads, or maybe they partner with a corporation or so that wants to record an ad. Yeah, they'll use those pop filters, and they may even go a step further and get one of those isolation shields. For their microphones. It's to block sound coming from the other side. But for the microphone that we're using, we don't necessarily need the isolation shield because it's already unidirectional and everything. But usually when people are doing those voiceover ads, it's because they're using one of the studio mics or one of the most sensitive microphones.
Gotcha. So if somebody doesn't have a budget, what would you recommend if they just want to get started? They don't have a budget. They can't afford the $70 US to get that mic. What is a good way to at least start to record some audio? Do you just whip open your phone and use your phone mic or use your computer mic? What could you use to get started if you have no budget and you're looking around your house, you're looking for something again just to get started?
So some people would say, use your phone mic. I would say, don't, please. Because the reason why, you don't want your podcast to sound like a phone call. We don't want to listen, to your phone call. You got to look at it as an investment. Hear it. If you want to start a podcast and you can't afford the $70 US, reach out to me. Maybe I will lend you a mic. I have about 3 or 4 of them. I think I have one lent out already, but I will lend you a mic. But please don't use the phone. I know some people say use the phone. Don't use the phone.
What about even like the like if you have a good headset, like a good wired headset? I'm making them cringe.
So those are fine for conference calls, and maybe
but not
like
so
if
much.
You have to, yeah, at least use the headset. Don't just shout into the phone. But I beg you, just save up the $70.
Make the investment. Make
Yeah,
the
get
investment.
the microphone.
Even if you have to buy it used for like $40, there's a lot of good microphones that are used at low prices. It's worth the investment.
There you go.
Alright.
So you get creative. You get creative about it.
So next up, let's talk about, okay, so one of the issues that I had when I was doing webinars a couple of months ago, I didn't have no mic, no fancy nothing. I just had my computer. So I was shouting into my computer microphone. The fan was beating on me, so you were hearing the fan. I'm in a big room, and it echoed. So I had a lot of issues. In the audio world, I had a lot of issues I had to deal with, right? So I got the mic, right? I got the pop filter in the windscreen, got that, right? Now I want to kill the echo in the room. What are some things that we could use to kill the echo, so that, you know, again, if we're talking, you're not getting that echo in the background when you're editing.
Okay. So again, this microphone will help a lot with that. But also, if you're recording in a room with a lot of hard services, I can't switch my camera on it now. But what you could get is like a rubber soundproofing mat. You could pull it up on Amazon, or maybe I could send you the link on Amazon afterwards. What I do, so because that's part of the reason why I record around my couch, where there's a lot of cushion and there's the carpets under there and everything. And I got some cardboard across there that I put my speaker. So I monitor through my headset and through my speaker, so the guests could hear themselves when they talk. But I put the speaker on top of a cardboard. I learned in UE when I was back on Dome that cardboard is really good at soundproofing things.
Right.
You know?
One of the things that I used was I got the acoustic panels.
Oh,
on
I didn't talk about
Amazon.
the panel. My bad. Okay, so Dan,
Go ahead. Take it away.
if you're serious, like Karan is, you could go ahead and get those foam acoustic panels on Amazon. They're fairly inexpensive. I think
They're
maybe
really
about,
inexpensive.
yeah, about 50 US or so. And there's some websites like Prima Acoustic. PrimaAcoustic.com. Check them out. They let you decorate them, so you can actually brand them and hang them up on your wall or so. So I was considering doing that, but I said, all right, Kevin, it's not necessarily a priority.
It's and you know what? It's really inexpensive, and again, you have to assess your environment, right? I know I'm in a big empty room, like outside of my studio setup. I haven't really put anything else in there. It's hardwood floor, so again, there's nothing. The sound is bouncing everywhere, and you hear the echo. So I put up. You can't see in the frame, but I put up 8 panels of acoustic foam on one wall, 8 on the other, and a couple more in the wall ahead of me. That way, when I'm speaking, it kills that echo, and it was a night and day difference right out the gate. All right.
Awesome.
So we got acoustic. So we talked about the mics, the acoustic panels. Let us get into audio interfaces and digital recorders. Talk to me about that.
Right. Okay. So I would have started off using one of the audio interfaces that you plug into your computer. And those are good. Those are great. They're great brands. You could get the Steinberg. You could get the Scarlett Ibis?
Scarlett Iris.
Scarlett Iris. Right?
Yeah.
You could get those are 2 great brands for that. The reason I won't recommend that, and I'm going to reach to my digital recorder in a sec. The reason I won't recognize that is because it runs through your computer. And what do computers like to do when you don't want them to do it? They crash. They crash. And you don't want to be 52 minutes in a killer podcast. You got your guests to open up to the world. You pulled things out your guests that nobody's ever heard before, and then the computer crashes. You do not want to be in that position. So for me, I use a digital recorder. I was going to reach a man.
Yeah.
So this guy right here, this is the Zoom H6. Now there's
That's
the
the big
H5.
boy. That's the bad boy.
Ooh, listen, this was my best friend. Now I won't lie to you, Karen. I realized a few weeks ago that it actually died because I had batteries in it, and I left batteries in it for months because I recorded something in February, and I just left it there, the batteries
Right.
inside. Then just the other day, I was like, hey, let me just check out this. Let me just go and do a test recording. Not coming on. So, it broke my heart, but
To say the least.
Well, to say the least. I mean, I use a lot of choice words, but I would still recommend it because it. So what do you think about Zoom is that they're excellent with managing your audio quality, right? Even better than Rode. And Rode has a lot of those expensive, sexy mixer looking things that you could plug into your computer. So this is about $350 US or so. It has 4 channels here for your XLR mic. So and it could even add an extender at the top here. We could get 2 more, so you could actually record 6 at a time. But I mean, you don't need to record 6 people at a time. I don't know what you're recording, right? So 4 microphones in at a time is works great. It comes with a memory card, so they could record directly to this device instead of recording to your computer. So come hell or high water, your recording is safe.
Right.
But it's battery operated. Well, the only thing is check the batteries, and when you're done, of course, you take out the batteries. Don't leave your batteries in because it might die.
Yeah.
And yeah,
we don't want that.
You don't want this. I'm holding this. I'm getting a little sad, but I'm just trying to focus so I could educate the audience, right? So I would strongly recommend investing in one of these. Strongly recommend.
And they're called the digital recorders, the Zoom digital recorders.
Zoom digital recorder, and yeah, I use this to travel. So I've recorded podcasts in New York, Canada, DC, Maryland, Saint Lucia, Barbados. I've recorded. So I've took them on the road.
And they record directly to an SD card that you put in there, right?
That's correct. And then you can just get your data cable, plug it into your PC, upload it as WAV files, high quality audio files. Then you have the option of compressing those files into whatever quality MP3 file that you want.
Perfect. So we moved from digital recorders and audio interfaces. For me, because I'm pretty stationary, I'm using an audio interface. I'm actually using the Behringer Euphoria UM2. This audio interface, I connect my mic into the audio interface. The audio interface goes directly to the computer, and that helps amplify the quality of the mic and all that other technical stuff that I don't personally know. I just know that it was good and just get it. So I might, I could get that sexy voice like Kevin too, So moving on from that, Kevin, so let's get away from the hardware a little bit. Let's jump into the software. If we are recording podcasts from our house, walk us through some of some key software to use to record that podcast.
Okay, so I'll talk about my workflow. I record it to my digital recorder and then export it, right? And so for the first 3 seasons, I edited my own audio, and I would recommend editing your own audio at least for a little while first, and I could get into the reasons later. But so I would use Audacity, which is a free audio editor. You could download it off the internet. But one thing to be mindful of though is that the Audacity off the shelf doesn't give you the ability to export MP3 files. So you're going to need to download a plugin called Lame, which you can get off of Google. It's easy to get, but just let you know. So you download in Audacity, then you get the Lame plugin that lets you export your files as MP3 when you're done.
Okay. Wonderful. And then after Audacity, we were talking about another program that helps you sexify that.
When we get into my secret sauce there.
I apologize. I apologize. But we're here to give sauce. We're here to give secret sauce.
The digital shows about sauce. Okay. So I remember the first few episodes I edited, and I remember my friend was telling me, hey, but I find it sounds raw. It almost sounds like you're not like you're in a tunnel. I can't remember what was the exact analogy, but it wasn't like it sounded great, right? But they said the content was great, but it didn't sound great, and I knew in the back of my mind, I knew again because I'm using this sensitive thing. My co-host is around, they're picking up the sound of the fan, my air condition, everything, So when I was editing episode 4. And the thing is, when I was recording episode 4, half an hour into the recording, the rain started to fall hard, right? And hitting the walls, hitting the roof of the cabin, right? But I'm in my zone, so I'm still going,
right?
when I'm editing now, it's like, whoo, you hear it. And then, so I'm about to get a little technical. So in Audacity, they have they have this noise reduction algorithm, right? So what you do is that you select a space of maybe 3 seconds of what you call background noise. So always when you're recording, you always want to just shut up for about 3-5 seconds before you start talking, so it could pick up that background noise. Right. So you select that background noise. So you identify the profile of the background noise, and then you want to select the rest of the track, because the assumption is that the background noise is the same level of background noise throughout the night, right? So you and I recording here, throughout the night, I'm going to have this fan on, right? It's not going to change, but because the rain fell half an hour in, it changed the background noise, and then the rain didn't just stay at a steady state of downpour.
Right.
It modulated a bit. It got hard, it got light, and it got hard again. I spent about 8 hours editing that, Karen. And then even when I was done, I was like, no, man, I don't like how this song. I don't like how this song. I can't release this. Went online and listen, this is 2-3 in the morning.
Right.
I'm online and say, how to fix this? I'm like deep into it. How do I fix this? Because this is Monday night and I release on Tuesday.
Right.
I discovered this program called Auphonic. And listen, this is an Austrian company. The name of the guy is George Hoffman or something like that.
Yeah.
But his name may as well be God.
Yeah. And for those of you wanting to know, it's Auphonic, Auphonic, Auphonic. Kevin, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And what that Godsend program would do, it was that they had their automatic algorithms. All you have to do is upload your track, and they will automatically detect the different modulations in your noise environment. And not only that, they would level your audio. So my voice is pretty loud, right? Not everybody's voice is as loud as mine. It will bring down my voice a little bit, and it'll bring up my guest voice a little bit to match. Also, it will set we call a noise gate. So a noise gate, I know I'm getting very technical, but a noise gate essentially blocks out low frequency sounds, like my co-host in the back, right?
Yeah.
So that my co-host gets silence. He don't even know. He even asked me to hear what sound like, right? And then it had a noise pass filter, right? So think of it like a ceiling on the floor. The noise pass filter would block out the high frequency noises. When I get really excited, the noise pass filter would calm that down. Say, Kevin, easy. Right? Yeah. So when we put that, I processed that, and Auphonic is free. You get 2 hours of you can process 2 hours of free audio once you're recording on one track. If you're doing a multi-track, which you should be doing, then you only get like 20 minutes.
Right.
We could talk about this whole night. But anyway, so at that point in time, because I only had one microphone, I was only recording on one track. So everybody's voice is on one track. Do not do that.
Have it separate.
Do not have all the voices on one track. Everybody has a different vocal profile, right? So you have to treat each track separately. Anyway, so by around 3:30, 3:45, I had something like passable sounding audio. I was like, all right. Whew. So I went ahead and I processed it and I went to bed. And listen, I even got compliments from my friends. It's like, hey, Kevin, your audio quality really stepped up. It's like, you don't even know.
Pass it through Auphonic and have Auphonic do a lot of the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let me move on. So again, that is Auphonic, Auphonic. Check it out. And again, run your audio files through it so that it will clean up that audio tremendously for you, right? Kevin, I want to dive into quickly. Give us a very light run of hosting.
Okay.
Hosting your podcast.
So you're going to record your podcast. You're going to export them as MP3 files, but you don't want to just take those files and just dump them on a website. So you mean to get your podcast syndicated through Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Castbox and Spotify or whoever, you need a distributor. So that's where the hosting comes in. So then there are a few out there. There's Podbean, there's Blueberry, there's Libsyn, which is one of the stalwarts of the game, and then there's
Anchor.
Karen.
We'll talk about.
Karen,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I
Right?
apologize.
So
Go ahead.
there's Anchor. There's Anchor. You know, and Anchor attracts people because they say, you know, record your podcast for free, distribute it to all these platforms easily and everything. But then, you know, you get limited data. And
you know I like data.
But yeah, well, you go on a different level with data, right? But yes, Anchor doesn't give you much data. So
Right.
their main draw is that people can start for free. But my counter to that is, hey, you can start for free on Podbean as well,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So yeah, I recommend Podbean. I use Podbean. I think it gives you the best bang for your buck. The others are a little more expensive and they do pretty much the same thing. So Podbean is about $108 a year, so that's $9 a month, but they bill you annually, right?
Okay.
And so yeah, what you get is a podcast feed or RSS feed.
RSS feed that feeds out.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it stands for Real Simple Syndication or something like that, right? So even when you're blogging, you have an RSS feed as well, like as you know, right? So to get your podcast syndicated across these other platforms, so you'll have to go into these platforms, and it's a one and done, right? So you go into Apple Podcasts and you say, all right, I'm a podcaster. Here's my feed. Cool, it'll be up in a day. Same thing for Stitcher. Same thing for Spotify.
Right.
There are other platforms like Google, where they automatically, like once you upload your podcast to a feed, you don't need to manually go to Google and post it. Right. So Google, you know, it's Google, right? So they automatically they find it. They know Google is good at finding things. They find it and they index it and it automatically posts to Google Podcasts. All right. So Spotify, no, as a Caribbean person, is to get on Spotify is a little bit more gymnastics, because Spotify, you know, they don't really let people from Caribbean IP addresses in just like that. So yeah, your friend had to get to ExpressVPN, you know, to say that I'm in Miami
to get that podcast up on Spotify.
But and it's great to get on Spotify because a lot of people in the North American market, they use Spotify all the time, right? And Caribbean Power Lunch has a fairly decent diaspora listenership.
Gotcha. All right. So moving away from the hosting, the last two topics I want to touch on for this segment, because we're pretty much out of time for this segment, but we need to touch on these last two segments, and we'll go through it. We'll go through one really quickly, which I want people to see how you prep your show for a podcast, and then we'll take a minute or two to talk about, you know, monetization for the podcast. So what can you do for me is, can you share your screen so you could show us some of your research notes for how you prep your show? Let me know when you're ready, and I'll bring it up for everyone.
Okay, sure thing.
We're getting some behind the scenes insights into some of the amazing prep work that does for the Caribbean Power Lunch.
This doesn't let you share a specific app. You just have to share the entire screen. Okay, no problem. Okay, so how I go through the preparation process, and this is crazy. Like, you know, like you're all gonna think I'm insane, but I pretty much stop short of stalking my guests. The reason why is I really want to give the audience something different, right? So there are different categories of guests. So there are guests that are accustomed to being interviewed. They're accustomed to being on shows. So you know they have a lot of their canned speeches, their canned stories that everybody's heard. I mean, yeah, we love it all the time. But for those sessions, I always love to go a little deeper. Right. And
give us that run through.
All right, cool. So this is actually my most popular podcast to date. This is with Shelly Ann Gajada. I think it was episode 31. It's about finding your purpose. And what you're gonna notice here, these are just my notes. So basically, I just decide, hey, well, this is how I want the conversation to go. This is the things I want to touch on. And these notes here, just notes to myself saying, all right, this is who she is. This is what she does. So this would inform my intro of her. Right. And this here is just a quotation from her. All right. So notice you haven't seen any questions yet. Right. So a lot of people when they do interviews is all about, here's my list of questions. Let me make sure I get my list of questions.
Right.
All right. My focus is on the message, what I want to get out of this guest.
Right.
Okay. So, all right. So I move on here. All right. So Shelly's business is called Alpha Institute, where she teaches people about career development and professional
So
development.
you break down everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So this what you see in bold italics here. This is the words from her website. It's like, okay, so this is her language.
Right.
How do I tap in to her train of thought there and kind of go deeper on that? So the goal of all interviews is always get them to say, hey, well, how do you know that? Where do you find that information? Or,
Yeah.
Kevin, I never thought about it that way, but yeah, you might be right. And that's where you get that real quality conversation. That's where you add that real value to your audience, because it's all about value to the audience, not about you.
Scroll through and show everybody just how much notes you take when you prep for a session. Just give us a scroll through.
All right, so here,
Because you want to jump into that monetization right after.
All right, no problem. All right, so this was the meat of the matter, finding your purpose. So I listened to some of her videos and I jotted it down as a 4-step process that she uses, right? So you have some alone time, so I asked her about this. I asked about, okay, your coloring book and everything, your aromas, Shelly's big in aromas.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about feeding your appetite for knowledge. And I said, listen to podcasts, you put a little smile there, so I say, okay, Kevin, put a little plug for yourself there.
Yeah.
All right. Seeing the clues, follow through, and then I love the hashtag idea to action. So I always try to bring it, make it tangible for the audience, right?
Right.
So it's not just about, okay, you hear a good story, you hear a good lesson, and you feel great. It's like, how do you take what I've learned here and implement it in my life, whatever I'm working on, and get that progress.
Right.
And what is interesting here too is like when 2 weeks before I interviewed her, she did a Boss Babe brunch. So I actually reached out to my friend who went to that Boss Babe brunch and say, all right, so how was that? And is there anything else you'd want to know from her that you think wasn't covered there? And I got these tips. So you really got to dig deep. I pulled up I pulled up a Newsday article that she was featured in from September 2018. So I asked about this because you take the time to write about this, to say these things. You're passionate about it, right? So you want to ask her, okay, so what was the thought process behind here? Like, what are you trying to achieve here? And that takes it to a whole level of conversation.
Insane. Like, again, you just scrolling through. Again, Kevin, just scroll through because it's 6 pages of notes you have there, right? This is just to give you guys a bird's eye view as to the amounts of prep that goes in to Caribbean Power Lunch when he is interviewing you. And people, when you get on some of these platforms with some of the big dogs and they're interviewing you, they probably have double the notes of even Kevin. This is the type of prep that goes into a lot of the content, the high quality content that you are seeing. So, starting out, your notes might not look like this, but understand, like, if you want to take your podcast, your any of your interviews to the next level, this is the type of prep work that you want to be getting into with your guests. Kevin, thank you for that behind the scenes look. What I want to get into to wrap this session up is the monetization. So walk us through 2 things real quick. How do we monetize on the podcasting platforms itself? Like, what are ways that people are monetizing on the platform itself?
Okay, so I will tell you first I'll start with the standard ways that people are monetizing. So of course, there's sponsorships, right? So if you have a large audience already, you have, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, or what have you, and you're looking to start a podcast, you could reach out to potential sponsors, potential corporations, and say, hey, I'm going to be doing this podcast based on this. Your brand has always been in alignment with what I'm trying to do. Maybe you want to cover this, right?
Right.
Most of us don't have that, right? Most of us don't have that sort of following, right? And the thing about sponsorship, it's so in the US market, they base it on a CPM, a cost per thousand, and it's the average rates, and I think this is around 2019 or so. The average rates are like $15 per thousand downloads per episode for a pre-roll. So that's essentially before we start the interview. And sorry, that's 18, not 15. Anyway, and it's about $25 per thousand downloads for the mid-roll. So in the heart of the conversation, they say, okay, we'll be right back. Here's an ad, which you're probably getting ready to do. Right? That's that's a little bit more expensive.
Right.
Okay. But again, you're gonna need a big audience. You're gonna need thousands of downloads for that to make any sort of sense.
So when we're starting out, don't even think about monetizing on the podcasting platforms itself.
Well, Karen, the thing is, a podcast is not your business. Let me say that again.
I'm glad you said that.
Your podcast is not your business. Your podcast is a vehicle that could probably drive more business to you. And it always goes back to your intention. So again, my intention was to build a community of Black entrepreneurs and to uplift Black entrepreneurs. Yeah. I also have the parent company, the company that owns Caribbean Power Lunch, is called Become Investable. Become Investable helps companies essentially build companies that somebody will want to invest in. Right. Funny enough, after when I released the second episode, somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, Kevin, I saw you have this Become Investable link on your website. I'd like some advice on Becoming Investable." All right, fine. No, I'm not saying that turned into money in my pocket, right? Because there's a difference between lead generation and monetization. Right. Anyway, but let me continue with the standard form. So there's affiliate marketing, right? So maybe you partner with a brand, or you. Let's say I use Auphonic. Let's say Auphonic had an affiliate relationship, which I wish they did. But let's say Auphonic had an affiliate relationship, and I said, okay, you could go on auphonic.com/Kevin, and you get 10% off a 1-year license for Auphonic. And then based on that, I get a little kickback. Again, that is based on volume. If 10 people do it, I get maybe $50. I mean, it is not going to do much for me.
Right. So let's go ahead. Go ahead.
No, if you need to go to the break and then we could continue it after the break, that's fine. Huh?
No. I wanted to move to the how do we monetize off of the platforms and touch on that.
Okay, great. Okay, so another form of monetization is maybe you have some merchandise. And just last night I was like, hey, Kevin, how come we don't have any merchandise that people could just order online? Because there's services like Teespring and there's Printful where you could have your merchandise, and essentially you don't have to store inventory or anything like that. Your fans could just go online, select it, and the companies will handle the fulfillment, the warehousing. So it's drop shipping essentially. Yeah. Right. So that's an option. Again, to make a lot of money from that, you have to have a big audience. But the plus side is that I like to see people wearing a Caribbean Power Lunch t-shirt. That make me feel good.
It builds a brand equity.
Right. So there's three. I saw our classes are the three types of monetization based on if your podcast is about being a subject matter expert in something, right? So let's say you're a branding expert or so, or you're just like a business coach or what have you, right? You could use your podcast to talk about to deliver valuable content to people and then upsell your one-on-one coaching. Right. So that's where you start to say, okay, well, maybe there's a couple $100 per hour, and that's when you start to see a little bit of value. You could do an ebook if you're a subject matter expert. You could do a masterclass. So I did a masterclass on presentation and communications which is produced by Lisa Wickham and facilitated by Dominic Kaliprasad. Dominic Kaliprasad is an OG in the game. He has over 40 years of experience in it, right? And his masterclass was like 750 TT or something like that. Like, so maybe 110 US or however you want to convert it. Right. And I would have easily paid 300 US for that because I got so much value from that.
Easily.
Right? Easily. And and the thing is that with all your products, you always want to give your audience, you want to give your customers a value to price ratio of at least 10x. 10x is a very popular term right now,
Yeah.
but yes, you want to show people that return on investment, right?
Right.
So yes, it is. So there's master classes. You could do a mastermind. Maybe you want to get a group. Maybe you want to get groups of like-minded people. So you're building a community, right? And which is something I like. You're building a community, and it's like group coaching each other. Everybody's encouraging each other to progress. And you're just facilitating. You're not necessarily pretending to be a guru or thing, but you're facilitating. You're acting like a host. Something I've thought about.
Right.
Right. So I said e-courses already. You said e-books, and there's online courses. Like you talk about, there's Thinkific, there's Kajabi, there's Teachable. You drop a course on there, you get some passive income. Again, volume based.
Yeah. But essentially, you're using your podcast to drive traffic to these other products and services that you could sell off of the platform and generate revenue.
Correct.
Ideally, podcasting is an amazing way to generate leads for your business. Right?
That's right. Mm-hmm. So I'll just say for me, real quick, so podcasting, I think the reason I got a promotion at work last year was because of my podcasting. I was in a role where I was doing more of like the analysis and behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
And they were looking for somebody who could sell, who could talk to people and talk to business owners and talk to senior people in the finance industry.
Right.
And then he said, "But wait now, but Kevin has been doing this as a hobby for the past year and change." So Kevin is probably perfect for the job, and so when so that would have been my last job as I resigned. I actually somewhat do that job just for a partner company right now, right? Also again, become investable helps companies become investor ready and everything. So Caribbean Power Lunch is I hate to use the word funnel, but it's a nice client base potential for become investable.
Right.
And as I said at the beginning, I'm a business valuator now. Business valuations aren't cheap, right? So that's where I really monetize, right? So
Right.
So let's imagine somebody listens to the podcast, we get them investable, and then they ready to raise investment, and they say, "Oh, well, I need to value my company. Who are going to buy?" You go to me. So I mean, there's so
top of
many
mind.
ways.
You're top of mind,
So that's
yeah.
the thing, right? And that's the way. And you just need to be creative about it. You need to think about what it is that you have to offer and how you can get the podcast to work for you. But yeah, man, like it's not just about direct short-term money in the pocket. Like most podcasts that are sponsored, they don't get sponsored right out the gate.
No, but you know what? I want to end this segment on this note. One of the highest paid or the highest deal for a content creator that has ever happened has been Joe Rogan's $100 million licensing agreement to be on Spotify, exclusive to Spotify, right? YouTubers make their money from AdSense and the pre-ad rolls and mid-ad rolls. This deal with Spotify and Joe Rogan just shows you how the potential of podcasting. I know you're going to hear a lot of people talk about video, but video is not the only medium. The highest paid deal ever did not go to a YouTuber. It didn't go to a video. It went to a podcaster.
That's
all right.
correct.
It went to a podcaster. So keep that in mind. All right. For me, I use my blogs. I do my video content. And even though it works as a great lead generation tool for the other things that I do, and I can monetize through workshops, courses, my digital services, digital products. When I get a check from Google on the AdSense, that's just the icing on the cake. But I ain't relying on that. All right. Yeah. So Kevin,
lunch.
thank you. Yes, yeah, buy lunch. So I want to thank you for that segment. So coming up next, we are going to our final segment, which is our Q&A segment. So any questions you guys have, start to drop it in the comments from now. We're going to cut to a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. We're going to tally up some of your questions. We got some questions from social media coming in, and we have some questions from the live chat. I want you guys to drop those in, and we're going to take a couple more minutes of Kevin's time because he's a busy man and get some of your questions answered, all right? So stay tuned for the Q&A session after the break.
Stay connected and entertained with broadband bundles designed for you. With Flow starter and advanced plans, you can enjoy faster speeds to stream more of what you love. Get free access to the best shows, series, and movies with HBO Go. And connectivity on the go with free Flow Wi-Fi. Packages start from as low as $295 and no contract required. Visit discoverflow.co to sign up today. Flow, keeping you connected.
Sharing your goals, helping you find your place in the world. Eastern Gratitude, Eastern's holding your hand, leading the way, here for your needs, making sure that you succeed. Eastern's lending a hand, Eastern together, we're leading the way. Eastern Credit Union, leading the way.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. So, Kevin, this is our final segment, which is our Q&A segment, and we have 10 minutes allotted to answer some of the questions that has
only
been
10?
burning. I know. Listen, we could go all night. Yeah. You and I know we could already go all night. All right. All right. So let's get that timer started for everybody. Boom. All right. So the very first question comes in from this segment. This question is sponsored by Eastern Credit Union. And this question comes from Toothsome Dental. And Kevin, he asks, should you record your podcast with video as well?
Hey, if you can, if you already have the video set up. See, the thing about video is that it's so much more high maintenance. You know, I did video for a while for Become Investable, and we had hooked up with a video production company, and I didn't even want to know what they actually charge people but we had a nice partnership, right? And they do the whole makeup and everything, right? The lights and and all this thing, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. If you mean for podcasting, you just got to get your Zoom, your microphones, and you're good.
You could be in your boxers and record,
right? But if you're already good at video, if you're already good at that, you're comfortable with video, you have the cadence for video, because not everybody has the cadence for video, right? You know, I'm not even sure if I have the cadence for video. I even need to sit up straight and all these things, right? But yeah, if you have the cadence for video and everything, what you can do is you can record your video, but just make sure that, again, you're getting good audio quality. And if you could get the tracks, so let's say if you're recording with a guest, so you could get the audio tracks separate. And yeah, you could just rip the audio file from there and post it to a podcast feed, and just hit people in both sides. A lot of people who do video and podcast just from the same recording.
Love it. All right, second question, because we're going to flow through them. Second question, sponsored by Flow. This question comes in from Kira Muhammad. Kevin, Kira, how do you get your podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts?
Yeah. Okay. So for Apple, you have to go into it's a podcast at Apple. I can't remember the exact URL, but you have to go into Apple. You have to create an account and everything, and then you sign in. You tell them that you're a podcaster, and you submit your podcast feed URL to them. You'll get your podcast URL feed from when you create your account with Podbean and you upload your episodes. Right. So you could just submit directly to Apple, and it should be up in one day.
Perfect. And this is the last question from social media, and then we're going to dive into the questions in the live feed. This question sponsored by the good folks over at Buzz Media. This question is from EcoSmart Tip, EcoSmart Tip or EcoSmart IP, one or the other. I hope I said it right. Question is, Kevin, how do you start building and connecting with a podcast community?
Ah, boy, love it. Okay, so one of the best ways to do that is to jump on other people's podcasts, jump on other people's show. go on the digital age if Karen Rose would have you. Right? So and what you do there is you cross-pollinate your audiences, right? So now Karen's audience, if you all think I'm making any kind of sense today, you're probably gonna, hey, let me listen to this Caribbean Power Lunch thing that this man talking about. And if you like it,
Yeah.
then maybe you listen to some more episodes and you subscribe and boom, I have a new listener. So yeah, so definitely connect with other content creators.
I love it. I love it. All right, so let us go into the live audience. I love a live audience. I don't know.
I love a live-
Listen,
yeah,
I love a live audience, you know. Like when you have to record a video and you're just in your room talking to yourself, you know, you develop friends around you. Listen, I love the live audience for that. So the first question comes in from Lisa Hernandez. Lisa asks, how frequent should your podcast be, Kevin?
As frequent as possible. So when you launch, there's this category in Apple called new and noteworthy, and how that's judged, I think it's the first 8 weeks. How that's judged is how much downloads you get total. It doesn't matter if you're doing it not per episode, total that you get within that 8 week period. And if you have the most downloads, they're in your subcategory, and there's so many subcategories, which I love. If you get the most downloads in your subcategory, you're going to be featured on Apple's new and noteworthy list, and that gives you automatic discovery right there. Right? That said, producing a podcast is real work.
Yeah.
Right? It's real work. You know, so it depends on the type of podcast as well. So if you're doing an interview show, it's not as involved as if you're trying to produce like a storytelling show with mixing music and this and that. Like some of those NPR podcasts, you listen to the credits. I think they credit about 23 people who work on that podcast.
It's a team. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's just you're most likely you're doing a solo show, you're doing an interview show. I think a great cadence is weekly. There's a podcast I listen to that's 3 times a week, but again, they have that's their full-time job. Yeah. But if you're by yourself, weekly, and that's always a lot of work. Bi-weekly is respectable, but it's best to start.
Your audience could drop off.
Yeah, you want to build that. You want to build that audience. You want to be consistent with it. Yeah. So I would recommend weekly.
Yeah, I definitely recommend weekly as well. One of the reasons why the digital age is weekly, doing it every 2 weeks, your audience can forget about you, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want
this
that.
Thursday or is it next Thursday? I ain't sure.
Yeah, like it just poses too many problems. So if you could commit to weekly, do it weekly. All right. Next question comes in from, and Kevin, we're going to fly through these. Next question comes in from Natalie Briggs. How do you build your audience?
Okay, so I spoke about going on other people's platforms, and then it's really about getting creative. Now, I would admit, hands palms to the sky, I am not great at digital marketing. Right? I am not great at digital marketing. My Instagram is inconsistent. I'm just by the time I spend those hours researching, recording, editing.
Then you want to market?
Yeah, I just want to sleep, and then I have a lot of work to actually do.
Yeah.
So, in terms of building the audience, I'll definitely recommend hooking up with a digital media strategist or talking to somebody who's good at branding and all that. I know we have the Dr. Terry Carell coming next week. Good talk.
Yes.
Yeah, who's coming to drop bombs on in that sense. But I wouldn't say that is my forte. But what I would say is that for the audience that is there with you, you show up for them every week. You make sure the quality is on point. And I would say most of my audience is word of mouth referral, or I think I haven't checked, but I think I'm ranking in the top for when you search Caribbean and Apple Podcasts. Somebody showed me that the other day. I was like, hey, well, look at that,
Wow.
But yeah,
Congrats.
it's just a small thing. But but it's just being consistent and make sure it's good. Because just one bad episode away from somebody, you're just not bothering again.
Yeah. Natalie, I'll add, when you want to build your audience, have your website, get people to subscribe to your email list, get people to subscribe to your notification list, get people to subscribe to your channels, your Facebook, your YouTube channels. But again, just create content, be consistent. do your best to get people to come on to platforms that you can control. And the platforms you control is your website, your email list, your notification list, even your text list, right? Your text messaging list. Because then you could communicate with them at any point in time that you want. But again, content needs to be there, and good content will always spread. Mm-hmm. Next up, Planet L. How do you decide on the kind of podcast to pursue within the Caribbean market?
So when you say kind of podcast, you mean like if you want to do an interview show, if you want to do a chatcast where you just talk with your friends about football, or if I want to produce a story about three wise men?
Yeah, let's take it from the angle of the topic. How do you pick a topic for the Caribbean market?
What topic do you care about? Because the thing about podcasting, like if you don't care, and you're not gonna make it past 5 episodes.
Yeah, because you won't do 5 episodes if you don't care about it.
Because you'll be like, wait, no, this thing I ain't making money yet, and this thing taking all my time. Nah, I got it.
Yeah, a topic you care about, whatever you care about, do that.
Something you really care about, and you really want to get a message across, and you find that this message is not being put out there already, or not being put out there for the audience that you want to cater to. So just like what Karen is saying here, I want to talk about tech, especially for the Caribbean, because there's so much tech talk about what's happening in the US and UK and everything, but it's different for us. Everything is always different for us.
Correct. Next question comes in from Kamini Ramlochan. She says, Kevin, can you repeat the Audio Technica model, please? And did you do specific voice training such as broadcast training?
Sorry. Yes.
At the clear his voice.
It's the ATR 2100 or
the Audio Technica.
Yeah, sorry, the Audio Technica. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, the Audio Technica ATR 2100, or you could get the Audio Technica ATR 2100X. They're both pretty good. So I'm using the ATR 2100. Caron is using the 2100X in terms of voice training. So again, YouTube, right? So when it's on YouTube, they teach you about diaphragmatic breathing, like different breathing techniques, just to make sure that when you deliver, you don't run out of breath, and you're able to go for longer and all that. It's almost like equivalent to what you train for voiceovers. And also the masterclass with Dominic Kalipasad, we did different types of vocal warm-up techniques, different type of breathing techniques. Like we were on the ground. We were on the ground stretching and breathing at the same time with Dominic Kalipasad. It's crazy. But it's mostly, everything is about your breath. Once you can control your breath, you can control your voice.
Perfect. Camila Evans asks, what's your strategy to find guests for your interviews?
Well, it's a mix of so many things. So when I started, it would have been through my immediate network, right? So at first I had my friend Osei, my boy Osei, my brother Osei. So Osei was working in RBC with me, and almost every day after lunchtime, Osei will come and check me and say, KV, hear this now, hear this business idea. And we will end up in a conversation for I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. Then be like, all right, cool. Can I get back to work? So I know I could spar with Osei on business for a real long period of time, right? So I knew, so I wanted to start off comfortable, because remember when my cousin initially asked me to join a podcast, I was like, oh gosh, no, I'm afraid of public speaking. I can't do that, right? So I started with people I knew to get comfortable. Then eventually, once I started to get a little rhythm, say, all right, let's talk to people you do not directly know. So when I started, people would refer people to me,
right?
And now people actually pitch themselves to me, like people
to come onto your platforms.
Yeah, PR reps. They're public relations reps. So they email me and say, hey, Kevin, I hear podcasts, I like it, And funny enough, so these guys in Barbados, 10 Habitat, they're PR reps. So I interviewed Selwyn Cambridge there. Their PR rep reached out to me to interview Selwyn. I interviewed Selwyn, and since then, they say, oh, hey, Kevin, we have a magazine, so we like to do a feature with you. So they did a 10 questions feature. So they asked me 10 questions to answer it, to put it out in the magazine. Then say, Kevin, we want your take on the impact of COVID in Trinidad and Tobago. So I wrote an article there. Now, and as we were talking about monetization earlier, now they're saying, hey, we're considering you to be a contributor, a regular contributor to us, and a paid thing. I even tell I even tell my team about this yet. Sorry, guys. But yeah. So now there's an option to monetize.
I like that. Let's go to Laster Halls. Now, Laster says, our population size may not be conducive to running a podcast as a business. What would you say to that?
Say that one more time, sorry.
So, our population size may not be conducive to running a podcast as a business, because I know we touched on it before, where people might think, you do a podcast as a business, right? What would you say to that?
Yeah, so you're right, and not just because of the population size, just because like I said before, like your podcast is not your business, like essentially, except for if you're Joe Rogan and Spotify offers you 100 million US, then maybe it might be a business. But even then, it's still an asset, because Joe Rogan, I'm sure he has his own separate products and services that he offers that his podcast just creates an audience for, right? But there's so much value in being niche and so much value in being specific. You don't need to always appeal to the masses, but if you appeal to a specific audience and people are looking for value in specific manner, you could charge more than mass market, and it could work for you just like that.
And you'll create your own opportunities for your own business. And remember, we have a large diaspora as well, right?
That's correct.
Last two questions. We're going to go to Johan Rodriguez. How do you get vocal training or broadcast training for podcasts or webinars?
So I don't know if Dominic Kalipasad has the mastermind going on still. Well, it's really Lisa Wickham's company, but Dominic Kalipasad is a facilitator.
Yeah.
I would say there are a few vocal coaches in Trinidad. I actually got in numbers from my friend sorry, I can't remember her name right now, but yeah, so I got a few numbers for some vocal coaches in Trinidad. They're around. Hey, Johan, you can message me on the side and I'll give you those contacts. But yeah,
Perfect.
There's definitely, because there's a big voiceover market here in Trinidad as well, right? So yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so the last question we will jump into comes from Dominic Chapman. Dominic asks, is Auphonic a subscription service or is it free?
So you get, if you're doing one track, which you should not be doing, but let's say if it's you alone recording, that's fine. You're just talking by yourself, that's fine. You get 2 hours per month of processed audio. Now here's a trick to that, right? I have about
tricks.
I have about 7 different email addresses. So I
No, 7 hours.
no, 14. So
Oh shoot! Yeah.
So when I was still had this everything on one track, I had. All right, so I just had my Auphonic. So, Caribbean Power Lunch email max out. Okay, let's use maybe Common Festival. Oh, that's Gmail. Oh, iCloud. And I just move on like that. But eventually, when I wanted to do the multi-track only gives you 20 minutes per month. It's tight, right? It's really tight. For that, I say, okay, fine, no problem. I'll pay the $90 because it's more than worth it. It saves me so much time.
I love it. Kevin Valley. My brother.
Yes, sir.
This was extremely, extremely insightful. If you guys love the gems that Kevin dropped tonight, please, we need likes. Drop some fire in the comments for us, man. Give us some fire. Drop that in the comments, man. Let us know if you like tonight's program. Kevin, before we close up for the night, let everybody know where we can find you, Kevin Valley, and where we can listen to the Caribbean Power Lunch.
Ooh, yes, I like how you did that. Okay, so you can find me at kevinvalley.com if you want to book a session with me in terms of trying to get some help on your podcast. It's kevinvalley.com/contact. If you want to listen to Caribbean Power Lunch, it's caribbeanpowerlunch.com. And yeah, just like that. Or you could, if you already listen to podcasts, just type in caribbeanpowerlunch.com wherever you listen to your podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever.
I love it. Kevin, I've been a guest on your show, Caribbean Power Lunch, 2 times. I've been a guest on Become Investable with Shelly Ann, and it was only fitting we had you on the digital age to come on and bless the audience with your knowledge on the podcast world. So from the bottom of the entire audience, I want to thank you for giving us your time, your energy, your insight, and expertise on the on podcasting.
Yeah, man. And you know, Karen, I would say this is probably the shortest conversation you and I have ever had when it comes to media and content creation.
We were supposed to have a final prep session last night at 7:00, and we both fell asleep. We woke up at like 11, and we're like, "Yo, you want to jump on?" We jumped on at 11:30, and we came off the call at 3 a.m. talking about podcasts.
Yeah, man.
It gets like that. It gets like that. So, Kevin, any final words for the audience before we wrap everything up?
Yeah, man. Once if you know what's your objective, if you know you have a message you really want to get out to people, I would definitely recommend podcasting. If you know you already have a video setup and everything, yeah, man, by all means, start that YouTube channel. But you could always rip that audio, produce it as a podcast, hit people both spaces, and really just about adding value to the world. Let's just try and make things better. Let's try and keep the game leveling up.
I love it. And you know what? A comment just came in, and we never even touched on this for the entire thing. Let's just touch on it 10 seconds.
All right, no problem.
Length. Does podcast length matter? Does length matter?
Is Terry Correll here tonight? I can't see the cup.
I don't think she's in. I don't think she's in the bill tonight. She's prepping for next week. But yeah, length.
So some people would say, hey, your podcast needs to be as short as possible. Some people would say, hey, maybe it needs to be 23 minutes. You know, the length of time it takes for someone to drive to the office, or 45 minutes if they have a long drive.
Right.
So if your podcast, if you as a host, you're boring. If your content is bad, if your audio is bad, 5 minutes is too long. If your podcast is engaging, if it's educational, if it's inspirational, if it's insightful, if it's entertaining, right? Listen, the podcasts that I get the most downloads are the longer ones. You know,
wow.
There's no
in between.
Yeah, there's no correlation. There's no direct correlation per se. Like
Right.
Once it's good, but just remember the key principle is earn every minute of your audience's time. Every minute. You see, like you see how you're cutting more from rambling and say, let's keep it tight. Earn every minute of your audience's time.
Listen, and I definitely think we've earned every minute of the audience's time tonight. The comments is coming in, the feedback's coming in. We still have a good amount of people tuned into the live show, and we already know that there's going to be more people watching the replay. So, Kevin, let us wrap this up tonight. Say your farewell, my brother.
All right, Digital Age Show, hey, Karen. I really respect you for putting together this show. I mean, I know when you're putting together this show, we messaging back and forth. Say, hey, Kevin, we're going to use Restream, going to use OBS. All right, Kevin, what kind of microphone to get? All right, so what sort of headphones to get? Shall I set up this? I know so much work goes into what you do, and as you know, as a fellow content creator, you know, as a kindred spirit, you know, I salute you, my brother.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Kevin Valley of the Caribbean Power Lunch, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of The Digital Age. There's a lot that goes into podcasting. There's a lot that goes into building something like the Caribbean Power Lunch. Again, just seeing Kevin work behind the scenes and all of the attention to detail that he does helps push me as a creator myself. And just like he said, when I was launching Digital Age, me and him were going back and forth all the time, just sharing research, sharing notes. He was giving me tips. I still go to Kevin. Every episode that you see, right? I go to him We do our prep sessions. I have a prep session with the guests. I have a prep session with them because I want to be as prepared as I possibly can be so that I can offer the most value for you, the audience. I want to thank you. On that note, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. Listen, it is always a pleasure to be here to serve the Caribbean community. Any questions you guys have after this episode, feel free to reach out to Kevin. Feel free to reach out to me. And on that note, I just want to say good night, everybody. You already know, next week, Thursday, 8 p.m., Atlantic Standard Time, we're going to be diving into social media for business. The unorthodox way to do social media for business with Dr. Terry Carell out of Jamaica, one of the biggest personalities in the entire Caribbean. Next week is going to be insane. If you like this, again, every week we're just going to carry the bar up and up, and every episode is geared towards you being able to take some things away and implement it into your business right away so you can thrive in the digital age. I am your host, Karen Rose, and I just want to thank all of you for tuning in, and I'm going to see you guys next week, 8 p.m.